Iran, Russia, and Turkey have agreed to establish de-escalation zones in Syria, which can be extended after 6 months. Representatives of the three countries reached the deal after the latest round of talks over the Syria crisis in Kazakhstan. According to a joint statement, the zones will include fully or partly eastern Ghouta, as well as the provinces of Idlib, Homs, Latakia, Aleppo, and Hama. The Turkish Foreign Ministry also said that three countries have agreed to deploy observers around the zones in Idlib, which is largely controlled by militants. The ministry said the main mission of these observers is to prevent clashes in the region and any violations of the truce. Joining us now is Jason Unruhe. He's a political commentator and joins us via Skype from Ontario. Many thanks for joining us here on Press TV. Now, we earlier heard the Syrian envoy to the UN, Bashar Jafari, speak of the Astana talks as the only successful peace process as far as Syria is concerned that has been launched up until now. What do you make of this expansion of the de-escalation zones? Has it been a successful policy up until now?
I think that there's definitely a benefit that can come out as a result of them. The main thing right now is to encircle and end the rest of the ISIS forces inside of the country and not allow them to take any territory back. The problem is dealing with the U.S. inside of the country coming through controlling the Kurdish regions of the country and controlling the Kurdish regions as well. A de-escalation process would be beneficial. ISIS knows that it's going to lose. The Al-Qaeda front knows that they're going to lose. It's only a matter of time until the Syrian government takes back all the territory it has, particularly with the U.S. no longer funding the opposition inside of the country, which has been attacking the Syrian population and the Syrian government in general. Any kind of agreed to truce obviously would mean putting arms down that are being used against the Syrian government and the Syrian people. So I see that this would be a positive step forward. And if the U.S. were to fully cooperate with this, we could very well see the end of the Syrian war.
Right. So, Mr. Unruhe, there is also that other factor that comes into play over here, which is the U.S. and its allies and their policies when it comes to Syria.
Well, I think that it's mainly the fault of the United States that this situation has happened. They were the ones that began funding the opposition with the specific goal of trying to overthrow the Syrian government. And for any criticism that anyone may have of the Syrian government, they are the legitimate authority inside of the country. And once the U.S.-backed forces began losing, particularly the al-Nusra Front, etc., then the U.S. started interfering, using the Kurds as a proxy to do so. And this, while it has been positive, at least in ending much of the Daesh forces, it has increased tension in the country as their forces were used to try to race towards the oil fields on the side of the Euphrates River, while the Syrian army was going in the same direction from another direction to try to also capture the oil fields. But this ceasefire, if agreed to by the U.S., could be very positive.
Right. And before I let you go, Mr. Unruhe, what are the pitfalls, though, that you can predict in making, which basically decides between the success or the failure of these talks or the implementation of these de-escalation zones?
I think the main problem would be trying to keep imperialist hands out of Syria, which has been the point from the beginning. When you have a situation where there's a de-escalation, there could be more funneling coming in from powers like the United States or Saudi Arabia to try to consolidate areas that may still be under Daesh control, or the areas, the Kurdish area that's under U.S. control right now. In a perfect world, it would be better that the Syrian military just completely storm over all these positions and take their entire country back. But if this was really a possibility, then Syria wouldn't be necessarily agreeing to these kinds of things. But I think it does open up the possibility that foreign imperialist interventions, this could give them some breathing space to try to get their influence into the region even more.
Okay, let's leave it there for now. That's Jason Unruhe. He's a political commentator joining us via Skype from Ontario. Mr. Unruhe, thank you very much indeed for your comments here on Press TV.